Pero es que no voy a poder estar tan moviéndolo, se lo voy a dejar abierto.
I do things, I'm not a teacher, but I do things, and then somehow I got recognized. I got this letter from these guys all that day. I heard about what you're doing, and then I wrote a little article. I said, well, North Rock Park's a gold socialist. I get this letter from out of Hoover Institute, somewhere in Stanford, California or something, from a guy named Milton. You know, and so I haven't kind of walked backwards. I'm not in the ivory tower crowd, but somehow the ivory tower crowd found me. And that's why I'm doing this now. This is my way of, I have a unique experience that I just want to share. I'm not going to be, I mean, I'm 72, I'm not going to be here now. I'm hoping to be here another 10 or 20 years. And I think it might be, you know, I think Jesus said in the last days it would be like the days of Noah. In the days of Noah, people lived 600 years. It might be you guys, you're going to find that fountain youth to live 600 years. I don't know, but you know, this one will be just fine if you have that breakthrough in technology. But I have the people, number one is the goat lady, because she's learned, she's got a long way to go, but she actually took the Jarmuz class. Because I don't need the note. She's going to need the note. She needs to learn more about Bitcoin, but she's already learned so much. And she's learned what hodling means and what savings means, and what she's really good at is to say, spending Bitcoin. She's really good at it. But that's an important part of Bitcoin, because you have life to live. Like I say, if all you have is a big hodl and you haven't provided for your family, you don't get it.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So start out with your little, how, okay, so the question is, how is Bitcoin your treasury?
Okay, I tried to make a short history. How it, okay, sorry. Okay guys, how to trade Bitcoin like the treasure. When we have something that we love, that we like, that we can use, and is useful, we want to find a good place for how that piece, anything that you have, okay? And we take care. Because we know how. Sorry, I'm nervous. Okay, anyway. We wanted use for the future, we wanted house for the future, and something that we take care for us, so something we wanted pass on for the children, the family, the grandsons. Like Ugly said, I love expand vehicles. But like I told him, we love the cars. We expand in things that we have, that we can use, that we like the house, or like the fix the office. I don't know how many know the vehicle house already. Vehicle house is our treasure. The office that we have for the YouTube videos, that is our treasure. The main house that we are planning for Bitcoin Institute is a treasure. We take care because we know it can be useful, and we can share with everybody else too. Anybody that wants to come and stay with us and come for learn, that is our treasure. We take care. We say we have there for us, for today, for tomorrow, for later. That is what that means for me. Not just have the money and don't expend, but I expend in something that can be useful.
She's got this Super Duty, what truck is you have? That Ford Super Duty diesel?
Yeah,
and it's
F250 Super Duty diesel. I'm using a lot because We're still building. We're still building. In that truck, I have 2,000 kilos of
Eddie, no
cement
le
or
grites.
any material, and
No le
it's
grites,
useful.
Eddie.
I use it 1 or 2 times per week. I take that
grosero.
amount of material at different
Eso es
times,
grosero.
and it's useful. And I'm a tough woman. I don't know. Don't be surprised. Sometimes I use. Probably sometimes I sound a little bit aggressive, but it's the way that I am. I like to say the truth. I like to say what is my opinion, This morning already told me and sometimes people think that he's married a crazy woman. I said, you know what? Yeah, that's true. I'm a little bit crazy because we have to be crazy for handle and have our own opinion in front of everybody. If that is be crazy, yes, I'm crazy, and I'm so happy doing that.
Well, I'm glad you're a crazy woman. You're the perfect crazy woman for me. So, Joe, welcome to this panel, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
Joe is from, my mind's blank.
From California.
Well, I know you're from California, but our sponsor.
Embily.
Embily, okay. He's from Embily, and you know what? I know that I need this Embily thing now, because I just had I've recommended it. Oh, I got Capital One now. They gave me a $50,000 line of credit with my credit card. We're using it everywhere, and then just out of the blue, folks, we're closing your account, and we're not going to tell you why. Wow. I had to make some major adjustments, and so did she, even to put on this conference. What they are doing is, and I'm trying to go through the process, I haven't finished it yet, but what he is doing is creating a very useful thing, and it's becoming more and more useful for people like me, because as we stick, like Tone and like Jimmy, we are targets. We have literally put our names out there, and we all respect you if you don't want to go the way that we go, because you are bringing yourself into a danger zone that you can't easily avoid by maintaining your privacy. And I think we're going to be hitting that later with Bitcoin mechanics, because a lot of you, we're going to teach you the right way to do things, and the right way for me may not be the right way. Everybody has a different thing to do. And this guy has done a lot. I never looked at the trading book, and he developed a system of trading where it actually is a use on the Tone and I both dismissed, you can't trade the book because you can't make it's all manipulated. But he figured out a way, well, could you agree it is, but it is an analytical tool. And now he's going to work in promoting Embily, which is a very useful card everywhere in the world. Why?
So I'm going to start with the first example you brought up, like the kind of buffer between your regular account that you would use to buy a home or finance whatever you need to finance. A lot of the time, a bank will see an account that moves a lot of money into and out of cryptocurrency or exchanges or whatever, a risky account to deal with this stuff. So this is a prime example of why a service like Embily works. If you are a Bitcoin, you are a hodler, you have a hot wallet, you probably plan to use some of that Bitcoin somewhere. Now the goal is, how do I make that dollars and how do I do it quickly? So that's where Embily jumps in, and it keeps you isolated from any of these other account issues you may come across. But yeah, the simple answer, to that niche is there. Obviously being a global currency, Embily is also a global card. So you're able to bring your Bitcoin with you everywhere you go in the world. If you get stuck in whatever place you're stuck in, you can deposit Bitcoin into a card. 3 confirmations later, you're able to swipe it. You can get yourself out of whatever trouble you ended up in. I've heard numerous stories, especially during the beginning of the COVID pandemic, where people were kind of getting stuck and it was hard to get out of country. So it's like some people had to live on their Embily card. With the Bitcoin, they had a hot wallet in order to be able to buy food, lodging, and so forth.
So you're kind of fooling the legacy system, right? So the legacy system doesn't understand that I'm a Bitcoin, but you're not seeing that part. You're hidden that part from the system, so I can't have my account or bank account arbitrarily closed, which I've had every major bank close me in the United States. I think I've had now 6 of them. I've actually had one closed in Mexico, and simply because of what I do.
Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, there's a handful of uses, and, you know, Bitcoin as a treasury, a lot of us, you know, look, this is a small, intimate group, and we're all pretty much 10 out of 10 level Bitcoiners here, you know, pretty serious individuals. So, being that, you know, a lot of us might be a little heavy in Bitcoin, obviously liquidity off-ramps are critical, and how do you do this without causing too much trouble, you know? Yeah, an Embily card or a service like this is an optimal solution. And again, being that you can be anywhere in the world and use this, you can be spending Bitcoin, or let's say I hand my card to you know, Mike over here, and he starts spending this card, and I give him a PIN number. He won't even know he's spending Bitcoin. I mean, to me, this is a bridge, a much needed bridge, to make people understand that Bitcoin, you know, is a spendable asset. Spending is the goal. You know, to make people understand Bitcoin isn't just this you know, this asset you should hold on to for the rest of your life. You know, as a trader, as an individual who partakes in making money in Bitcoin, I think it's just as important to spend money. You know, that's part of money management. As you go down that money management rabbit hole, I kind of learned one of the most important things as far as money management is concerned, speaking of your truck, is you got to have some fun in there. You know, so having fun and having a nice account where you can stack up some bills and, you know, make some good trades and throw some money in there, it's a great opportunity to be able to spend your Bitcoin and, you know, still hodl whatever you want to hodl.
No, I'm going to skip you, because I'm going to go to the
I just want to say
go
one
ahead.
thing about what he said there, and that's actually a huge value proposition of Embily. Because I was in Cuba, and every one of my debit cards failed, and we had 3 or 4 more days there. We had maybe, you know, $300 in our pocket. So if anything is a fail-safe, just having that Embily card to avoid those situations globally, I mean, that's huge. I never even thought about that.
Now, why did it fail? Because of the embargo against Cuba, or you don't know?
Well, they don't tell you that on the phone. I called them all. I said, we're going to Cuba. They said, good luck. And then none of them worked at the machines, you know?
I had the same thing. I was stuck in Bali during the Financial Summit 2019, Tone's Financial Summit. Had to use my Embily card, you know, because my Bank of America on 12 hours ahead, for whatever reason, it wouldn't work with me. And it's like,
I'm down to American Express now. You know, what happens is I'm overseas and they pull that baby on me.
Yeah, so very real situation, and at the very least, it's a backup plan. I believe in diamond hand hopping. I believe in, you know, all these things that are strong Bitcoin values, but on the off chance that you do need to swipe a dollar because you can't swipe a Bitcoin, then believe that.
Okay, Muzz, how is Bitcoin your treasury?
Well, all of my assets is tied up in private companies that is basically illiquid. So you have a pipeline of exits and IPOs and investments. So if I need money today, there's no way in heaven's hell I'm selling Bitcoin. So I'm a big fan of collateralizing it, taking a loan, and, you know, on a short-term basis, kind of funding your life for 30 to 120 days to continue doing what you're doing, same way anyone that was maybe in a commission-based position who knows that the money is coming, you don't want to sell your Bitcoin. So I'm
you
a big...
can do that with Embily? You actually...
Not with Embily.
Okay.
But that's how I've, you know, used Bitcoin as my treasury, is by taking loans and then paying them off when my ship comes in, so to speak.
And that's what Michael Saylor is teaching too. He said you don't want to sell your Bitcoin, you want to use it as collateral, because if you do sell it, you know, depending, again, you know, if you're in a jurisdiction, you agree to the rules of that jurisdiction. I'm a United States citizen. I pay my taxes. I avoid taxes, but I don't evade them. And every year, you know, I file and pay the tax due, and now I'm free to bring my funds to Mexico, where Bitcoin trades higher. So it's a great location being right here in Mexico and Ensenada, because it trades for, you know, several $1,000s higher in Mexico than it does worldwide. So it's like, it's a natural arbitrage market. It's like making being a market maker, I mean, but I'll talk about that when I get to Victor, well, I'll talk about it now. I didn't know that in my trading, that 7% of my profits came from being a market maker. So this guy did an analysis on what the little app is called, the equity app. And we looked at some
Listo, cambia,
that
cambia,
7%
cambia,
of your
cambia,
profits just
cambia,
come
cambia.
because you're a market maker. I said, no, I knew I was making something, but I had no idea. And so
Espérame.
that's just an amazing revelation. So, and incidentally, Victor's been a member, I think, from the very beginning. And he's in Tijuana, and we sat down and drank a bottle of tequila one night together and started talking about this equity act, and I said, go for it. And,
A ver, Chino, cámbiame, cámbiame a la otra, a la otra cámara. Ya.
Because I don't teach so much technical analysis of money management. In fact, I think the technical analysis doesn't really help you unless you first have that money management. And, you have to be able to blow out. One of my first articles was blowing out of the market with a smile. I can have this conference, and if I don't make a dime on it, I'm smiling about it because I can afford to do it. Something I could have done. I could have even done this last year. It's just that
Listo, Chino.
this year,
Cambia.
the first
Ya.
year we could afford to actually put something on like this without it being even a risk, if we don't get something coming. So, tell us, how do you use, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this guy. He works for a major company here in Mexico. We're not going to say who, but he's an engineer, and he loves his job. He loves the family that he works for. He has really no interest in becoming an entrepreneur, and you don't have to be. And still, Bitcoin can be your treasure. So take it from there.
Yeah, I just wanted to provide a little different perspective than you guys, because as Sophie said, I am in a different point, in a different situation than you. And being here in Mexico, for example, I don't have the options yet, as Muzz says, to collateral or use my bitcoins as collateral. So I need to find another ways. But because I have a stable job, and I'm well paid, I managed to save money, and what I do is basically I hodl, but I just don't want to sell. So as Bitcoin goes up, I just start decreasing my savings until I completely basically use all my paycheck to, instead of saving, I just consume it all, because I can rely on my Bitcoin. I just know that I have this hodl, and it's going to be there for a while. But I guess in a way I don't violate the rule, as I will say, that you need to sell in order to provide for your family. So because of my job, I can just use that wage to provide for my family and have good liquidity, and don't touch my Bitcoin. That's the way I've been doing it.
So you're just a hodler. That's
basically
what it is. He doesn't need to cash out, and that's hard.
I just modulate in a different percentage of if Bitcoin is up, I just spend more. I just simply spend more of my salary, and if it's down, I just spend less. And it's in a way, it's like I don't physically actually doing the trade of selling, but in a way I just capitalize on some of those gains by not saving that fiat money. That's the way we've been doing it.
Incidentally, Victor was at our working at the Bitcoin cruise, and so is our next guy, and he's got Bitcoin and friends, and he lives a passionate life living for our So tell us about your treasury and your passion and why Bitcoin.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Appreciate you having me. So I've been, I guess you could say, irresponsibly long Bitcoin since 2014, and that was the best decision I ever made in my life. So I advise to be irresponsibly long Bitcoin. Basically, if you can scrimp and save and tighten your belt, it's worth it over the long haul. And yeah, I mean that hodl that I built gave me the ability to travel and start some businesses. One of which was a big failure, to be honest. But that's part of life. We don't always succeed. I would say the lesson learned there is if you have a fiat job where you're earning fiat, it's probably wiser most of the time to just keep your fiat job, as Victor does here. Just take the money that you earn and try to buy Bitcoin and hold it. If you can avoid starting a Bitcoin business, it may be actually smart to do that. But sometimes you feel like you can't avoid it, and so I guess this project, Bitcoin and Friends, it's an animated series that my brother and I created. It's on YouTube, and this was one of those projects where I felt like I had to do it, and so far it has actually been, if I could take the Bitcoin I put into this and just have held it, I would be doing better. Much better. But, so, again, back to my earlier point of just try to work your day job and stack Bitcoin if you can help it. But anyway, we'll see. Maybe someday this will be ultimately a success. I'm hopeful so, because I do believe that Bitcoin is going to be the de facto standard for money around the globe in the next 5 to 10 years. And so maybe when we get there, my hope is that enough people will know about Bitcoin that maybe they'll then stumble onto this cartoon and check it out.
Robert, you're a hodler and a builder.
Yeah, I guess I've done a little of both. But yeah, in terms of Treasury, so for this project, we were able to raise a fair amount of money all through Bitcoin donations right from the start, and we were able to use that to fund a lot of the artwork and so on. So basically our Treasury has been, our strategy is we just hold as much of the Bitcoin that we receive as we can, and we sell it off as we have to. A lot of these, collateralized lending options didn't exist even just, a year or two ago, or at least I wasn't aware of them. So I think moving forward, it may be that we try to get a Bitcoin-backed loan, perhaps, for the next leg of production work. But just to give you guys a sense of where we are, we finished the first version of this cartoon, 8 episodes. We were shadow banned by YouTube, so we went from almost 300,000 views on the first episode down to a couple thousand on the last one. And they were basically not recommending our content like they were at the beginning, and that's what shadow banning is, in case you aren't familiar. But anyway, the good news is we have enough of a treasury, thanks to holding Bitcoin. We're going to actually be redoing the show, basically. So we learned a lot along the way in terms of everything from storytelling to artwork. We just, we're a much better team, and we know, how to go about this in a better way. So we're going to relaunch the show. We're about 2 episodes in. We're redoing the entire 8 episodes, and we're going to launch it all at the same time, which I think is going to be good. Similar to Netflix and a lot of these newer platforms where they allow people to just binge watch. We hope that will help us to maintain our audience from first episode to the end. And if you wouldn't mind jumping to the next link. So we're also raising funds. I stood up a BTC Pay server instance, which was not easy, but I would say if you can't figure it out, you could definitely find someone who can do it for you. This is just hosted on, I think, DigitalOcean, and I actually found a pretty easy, I think it was like a DigitalOcean image that, if I remember right, that you could actually grab and basically get it bootstrapped pretty quickly. But we've raised a couple thousand. We haven't pushed this too much yet. I think we'll probably go a little harder on it once we finish the first season. But it's basically like a crowdfund app. That they have different apps you can use with BTC Pay server. But it's very easy to use. We can accept Lightning, Bitcoin, and regular on-chain Bitcoin. And there are different levels, for the sponsorship or the donation. And yeah, so it's colorful and fun, and we're funding with Bitcoin. So I think, kind of to the earlier question about is Bitcoin a store of value account or a means of exchange. It really is, it's been all three of those things for our team, and I think as we move forward in time, it's going to continue for all of us to just become more sort of intuitive and natural. And it's exciting to see Lightning Network really gaining a lot of traction last year. Development work on that has been tremendous. So great job everyone who's been working on Lightning. I think that's about it. So thanks for having me again. Okay.
Muzz, tell us about what you're doing now. Not just how you use Embily, but how, I know you got some new projects going on.
Well, I personally am investing in the Bitcoin ecosystem in companies. So that's part of how I'm using it as my treasury, because you only have so much money. So when, Fold app or Breeze or any of these things are raising, that's basically what I'm investing in, So yeah, I'm taking loans, but there's the liquidation based on BitMEX. It's a whole different kind of thing, right? You're not really going to get wiped. So I'm investing in a ton of Bitcoin companies. I'm actually really curious why you chose to go the crowdfund route instead of something like a Republic or Start Engine, and maybe gave away a piece of equity and entertain that way. Kind of give everyone a little skin in the game and go that route.
Yeah, we've been looking at the crowdfund, or sorry, what would you call that?
It's crowdfunding.
Yeah, I guess it is crowdfunding, but it's equity funding, equity crowdfunding. Equity crowdfunding, I think we may consider that once we finish this first season. Basically, we felt like at this point we have the resources to go ahead and just do this and get it done. I think, it's going to be, let's say, 80 to 90% of what a very, very polished professional show is going to look like, and where our budget is maybe 100th of that of, these big shows. So, our thinking is we can get a good first season done and then potentially actually go and raise at a decent amount to finish. Because we have 3 seasons outlined. We looked at, was it Stoker or Stalker.io, I think it is, which is in Europe, but that's using, I believe, liquid sidechain, Bitcoin liquid sidechain. I think you can sell crowdfund, equity crowdfund there. So I think we would be leaning, I've talked with those guys, I think we're leaning in that direction. I prefer, if we could do it, to build it on Bitcoin, or to offer the equity on Bitcoin, if we can help it. But yeah, so I think that's in the cards. We just want to get a little further along on our own if we can.
So anyone can do this. I mean, when you keep an eye on these sites and you see that Embily is raising on a safe note at evaluation, you can put up a little bit of your Bitcoin and borrow if you're short on cash, but I just can't stress enough how investing in Bitcoin companies is a great way also to hedge, because no matter what happens to the Bitcoin price, Embily's performance is independent of that. Embily is going to, same thing with Fold or a lot of these things. They're going to do well no matter what happens with the price. So my opinion is instead of selling Bitcoin or trying to trade and risking liquidation and, babysitting trades and, the sleep indicator goes to 0 as soon as you start putting positions on, to just use some of that as a tool and make some other investments long-term in the space.
I want to agree with Mike real quick on that, because as a trader, I came into the space as a trader. I made a name for myself as a trader, and I feel like the biggest trade I've ever made in my life was this, investing my time and energy into something that's going to last, beyond my next trade, beyond my next scalp. I'm 100% in agreement with you on that. That it's the investing in the community as it builds is, 5 to 10 years from now, could be really a lot more than the value of Bitcoin. $5,000 worth of Bitcoin you could get it right now could be worth a lot more if you invest that same $5,000 crowdfunded into some, other service.
Well, you traded trading. You traded your life as a trader for your life as a builder, but not only that, you succeed as a trader, that's great for you. You put a few dollars in your pocket, a couple extra shekels, but you succeed with Embily, and, that effectively could change someone's life, who needs access to capital or gets debanked like Ugly did, so the impact on that is far greater than, a sick game.
I want to emphasize to everybody that your hodl can actually be very substantial. financially, and let me give you the example. When I started in 2013, my only asset was my business and the equipment and the talent, you know, the momentum of the business that we had built. I was in debt. I mean, I knew how to manage debt. I only borrowed money on my credit card. At first it was free when I would give it free interest for a year or whatever. But it was only for equipment, and equipment that paid every month, so I could service that debt without any problem. And then 2016, we had an exceptionally good year, and I was able to clear out all of my debt, and I had a nice little nest egg left over. So in November of that year, I added substantially to my hovel, which I'd already, you know, been hoveling for 3 years. And during that time, when I first started out, my assets were all in Bitcoin. Well now, and I have no problem with having 100% or 80% or whatever, but now I would say probably we're maybe 50-50. Because in the process, what we've done, ADC's security is not necessarily, she didn't really understand Bitcoin, she knew what I was doing, but she feels very safe buying lots and building on those lots. And so now she's got a mission. She has this whole compound that's now a mission in Zorrillo. She's got, how many houses do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4 houses at least now, right? 5 houses, okay. And you've got a whole bunch of trucks. And I've got my hobby, which we're going to enjoy on Saturday, and that's the 4x4s. And you know, that's our saving. That's our fun. That's what we got. I actually, it's relaxing for me. I think they gave Muzz a heart attack yesterday. A little ride around the block, but I could get on those cars, and that's my wife is weird way of relaxing. But I just want to say that your hodl doesn't always have to be growing. It's going to change. Your needs are going to change. You know, I can lose all of my Bitcoin today, and my wife and my family are provided for. That's a miracle. And Bitcoin allowed me to do it. My hodl is not as big as it has been in the past, but she's secure, you know, and, you know, whatever we have, if a Bitcoin is just our treasury, that's just gravy, and, you know, I'm just going to start all over again, and it takes only a little bit of Bitcoin to make a whole lot of Bitcoin. And we're going to have, I hope we have another story coming up before the end of this conference, because there's a tremendous success story that Tone and I know about. I just have to get the guy to tell it, because you guys, you got to learn to handle this thing. It's like fire. But if you learn to handle that fire, you can do a lot of things. You can forge steel. And that's what we've got here. And that's the opportunity that every one of you guys have. I mean, what is this Bitcoin standard? Well, we don't know. That's what we're going to be finding out. And so I just want to emphasize to all of you guys that, you know, everybody does it in a different way. And I will say that it's the wrong way if all you think that you're trying to build a hovel, you think everything is how big your hovel is. Because that's not that important. It's kind of, you'll see a movement and there's a flow, and you don't know what the world's going to bring. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So we live today, and, you know, we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So I'll open up the questions. If anybody has questions,
Ugly real quick, can I just say one thing? Because it wasn't touched on yet, but as far as the Treasury, and everyone has different opinions on this, and not with your hodl, right, because that doesn't move, that's forever locked away, but to make Bitcoin a productive asset in some ways, not with your hodl, but with a certain percentage of it. You know, you're saying your Bitcoin doesn't always have to go up. If you can take a percentage of it and play around on some of these vetted things, you know, it's great to see those sats deposited, you know, daily or weekly on the interest. I don't care if it's total hodl or if it's person to person or whichever one you prefer, you know, Unchained Capital, all the big ones, whatever you do. But if they're going to offer you 6% interest on up to 1 Bitcoin, you know, and it's not like the most meaningful impact of your hodl, I mean, why not? You know, that's kind of the way I look at it too, and I think that's a big part of the Treasury. You know, so if it's up to 1 Bitcoin and they're going to pay you 4% or 5.5%, and you're married, then there's an account for you and there's an account for her, and at the end of the year when you start adding it up, I mean, you're paid in sats. So I know a lot of people hate this stuff, and Joe probably hates it, and he's probably going to beat me out later. But it's a way to turn it into a productive asset.
Basic question,
I tried the Embily, I tried signing up, and it said join waitlist. And I tried joining, and I got a 404 error timeout.
I can get right, I can take a look at that kind of stuff. But yeah, as far as the service is concerned, the website might be going through some cosmetic stuff here and there. I don't know if you were signing in from Mexico or where you were signing in, so it might have directed to the Embily Euro site, and which is now live. And I've, used the card.
Voy a enfocar el cambio de mi cámara.
So yeah, I'll make sure that we can talk. And there is something that we need to bring up. There's a promo code
Listo.
right now for all the attendees
Listo.
here. If you do want
Listo.
to get the Embily card, due to compliance reasons, we can't give it away for free. But if you do sign up, as a U.S. citizen in anticipation for the U.S. launch, you get a free card. And if you use the promo code MEX, if you're on the eu.embily.com website, which is what you'd automatically be directed to out of Mexico, then you only have to pay €1 for the card. So it's a very cheap service right now, and again, just as a backup plan, highly recommend having an Embily card in your wallet. It's just worth it.
I really see it as an emergency thing. Like I said, it just hit home to me 3 weeks ago when they closed down my Capital One account, and all of a sudden there were 50 grand in line of credit. My credit card doesn't work, but you guys supposed to look at it from Home Depot and it goes on and and it's a great card because there's no foreign exchange. If you live internationally, you don't want a domestic card where you're charging 3% at the time. So you want one to travel card. And
That was made for you. That Embily card was made for you. I hope you get one ASAP.
yeah, no, I need one. Particularly if I'm going to Dubai, which I am, I don't want to get stuck over there, and then American Express shuts me down. It's interesting because American Express is maybe still.
Como va
passed
este
into
tiempo,
the
sí.
history of American Express
Sí.
because it was the post office. The government literally put them out of business.
Yo creo que va a haber que cortar esto.
Just some stories. The only money that worked
Hazle
was
señas a
American
Oli por
Express, and the way they got their credibility, they had guys came to them shooting guns in the air, and they had this big chest on there. Here comes the gold! And that was the only
Okay,
money
entonces
that
se
worked
corta.
in Paris when World War I broke out. It's a really fascinating story. So, all right, well, actually, the next panel is very similar to this panel. And if there's no more questions here, we'll take a little break and start it up almost at 3. And it is managing and hedging risk on the Bitcoin standard. And I think you guys have already started to touch on that. It's very important, how much you risk.
Cambia mi cámara. Ya.
And manage risk. So,
Yeah, I mean that's a great can of worms to open up because
Cambio.
I feel like one of the things that I was thinking about Bitcoin as a treasury, there's a lot of different directions this could go. If I am, let's say 90% Bitcoin and 10% cash, let's say that was my life. I would also need to do things to hedge my Bitcoin.
No te quites el micrófono, a ver cómo le
that
dices.
I'm modeling. I need to also allocate some of that to prevent myself from any further damage. So I think learning money management and certain preservation tactics in times of high volatility, low, very conservative tactics. Things like this make you a much more confident investor and a much more confident long-term play in something like Bitcoin, where you can go to sleep at night and still be heavily invested. That's the goal for me always, is to make sure that I'm
Si tienen, entonces si tienen la imagen del siguiente.
and we were on all this theoretical stuff
Cambio de
this
cámara.
morning, banking and competition and currency. This is for real. We are people that live our lives on the Bitcoin standard. And this
hacemos el movimiento ya que se pueda.
There's other things that are fun to talk about. We have basically a wide variety of opinions.
Pero
And that's what I
no,
love
no,
about
porque va a haber que
Bitcoin.
mover
That's
las
what
caras.
Bitcoin
Ni modo,
is
hay que aguantar
about.
así.
There's so many, there's such a diverse opinion within the Bitcoin standard.
Sí, sí. Si tienes un HMI libre que nada más es conectar y desconectar, si tienes que mover los otros, ¿no?
We are the bread and butter, that we're the gears, we're the tire that moves the road, all these people here. And this is what makes Bitcoin work. We could talk about theory and application of theory all we want, but it's the actual use cases that we develop, and those are going to be included in law. Bitcoin is this thing that's there, and we can depend on it, but the Bitcoin standard is dynamic. We don't know where it's going to go, and all of us have a different way to pull it and push it, and that's the great thing about it, because it's going to withstand. If we're pulling it wrong, it's going to let us know, and if we're pulling it right, it's going to reward you. And you know, that's just a great opportunity, and we finally have a mechanism that, you know, if you take the right safeguards, we can't be taken away from you, which just, you changes the ballgame completely. I mean,
Ok, hay que cambiar el logo de la
I
conferencia.
get stuck in Dubai and I got no credit card, why don't I just pay in to get home? I mean, I have, that's another part of the big one that we talked about later, we want each other back, guys, because we are really, individuals without a country. We're beyond, we are sovereigns in ourselves.
El oscuro.
We live in nations for convenience and because we're people with physical bodies. And they can take all that we have, but they can't take our Bitcoin. It's the only thing that exists that's ever been that way. And that changes, that's a game changer. And we don't know where it's going. So thanks guys for coming. I think some of you are on the bench too. So we'll take a 5-minute break.